fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. Pink 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 fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
Pink fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows. I hope you like this bit of a comedic entrance. The reason why I'm showing you that is the first two parts are a bit of a entry sort of simple concept of the Incarnation War, employing Dolores' canon and her perspectives relative to the convoluted universe, in particular the convoluted universe part 4 lecture. There's 5 sections in the first part, 2 parts of this Incarnation War series that I've employed, where what I'm wanting to do is offer how absolutely complex the Incarnation War absolutely is and who we are in it. And what I might be doing is showing a clip that's more relevant, what I feel is from the movie Edge of Tomorrow, where the Tom Cruise character, he gets thrown in the deep end because he was a bit of an idiot to the general, bit scared of getting involved and stuff, and sitting on the sidelines and having a cushy ride, when in actual fact he got thrown in the deep end the day before. Big invasion against an alien species that had time travel abilities and time perception abilities, so their talents were vastly outshone humanity. And it's a good metaphor, because from my aspect that's how it feels to be actually here and in this reality, in what we're in, from a higher level perspective and appreciation of the bigger scales of things. So I'm just doing a short intro to give you a setup of, in a funny way, I'm not being disrespectful to Dolores, but it's a quite naive and simple concept where what I'm wanting to do is actually instill into you, it is pretty epic to be here, alright? And I talk about being Galactic Special Forces and who's up to it and all those sort of things. And what I hope to do in this release, and possibly whatever I release after this in the series, is to actually instill in you how amazing you are to actually be here, because it is really epic. So this is a bit of an intro to the intro, and I'll talk to you a bit more after. So enjoy. Look forward to speaking to you.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a God, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Hey, welcome to this episode. This is Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing and Seven of Truth, and as I've been saying for a little while, Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee, alright? And that might sound really weird to a lot of you if this is the first one, or you've jumped on the last few or pretty recently and you haven't been that thorough. I'll do a bit of a test, okay? The reason why I say that about myself, it's two things: to demonstrate that owning your power is absolutely okay, feeling good inside about who you are, and this particular episode I hope to actually help make you feel how incredible you actually are on the soul level and to be in the human form. But the test was, this is the thing, okay? If you have been a student of a particular teacher called Dr. Emoto who talked about structured water, what I'm doing for myself by calling myself that is structuring my water in my body to be pretty freaking bulletproof, alright? And I have my issues and all that sort of stuff, right? I make sure I'm totally transparent and, you know, you can see me and all that sort of stuff, not perfect and that. But yeah, that's the reason why I say that. It's to structure the water in my body to be as bulletproof as possible. And if you guys got that, who might be interesting who actually perceived that, alright? So I might be showing some images of Dr. Emoto or a bit of a clip or whatever. I've sort of had a bit of rest to catch up on some energy to brew it for this and stuff, and I'm doing something a bit advanced. I've actually set up my camera so I can actually show you these images a bit better. I might need to actually explain them a bit more. So I'm going to try and not make this too long. I'm going to try and make this a bit of a quick overview and then maybe get into it later in follow-ups and stuff. This will be a lot of information to absorb, a lot of, you know, out there concepts that you probably haven't contemplated. It might take a lot of pattern recognition skills to really employ this, but my attitude is I'm going to give you a download of something that I worked out on March 25th, 2016, when after 3 years of pretty heavily into Andrew stuff, what I needed to do was, in order to do the Galactic Special Forces work, which fell into my lap, related to the people I was around, particularly Nick Ufatsi and Max Steele. Max Steele isn't here anymore. He passed on January 2019, which is very unfortunate, and I'd been disconnected from him for a while, which I've said in the End of the Truth frequency video, so if you want to go and look at that, I've spoken there about it. But yeah, I put those guys back together. We're sort of handling them, and if you've gone through Galactic Special Forces Part 2 and 3 particularly, there was a recording before Part 2 which was related to the Bank of England, the Rotham sex scandal, and Part 2 that I released, which is actually the third main thing, because I haven't found the recording of that yet, or I haven't gone through an old computer, or I've lost it. Part 3 was related to the Vatican and releasing the 700,000 sacrificed children's souls, which is pretty epic, and those missions are related to the Incarnation War, which I'm going to talk about, because what Andrew said is the significance about a lot of the stuff in galactic history. One that he released was August 2014, which those missions were related to, the artificial grid of the world and stuff. So they were absolutely tied into the Incarnation War, all right, but they were never talked about, all right. He chose not to talk about it, and I let him, and then I got entangled with his stuff, and then what happened, if you know what I've spoken about in the past. A lot of money was made, he kept it, and I moved on, all right. So there's a lot of karma there for that, because that money was meant for stuff, all right. So, but my neutrality is about sharing the perspectives for you to you decide whatever. There's trillions of dollars out there, I'm a match to whatever, and it's interesting what's going to unfold with the money system shortly. Yeah, the timing of this is very, very interesting, because I've had a lot of bit of interesting rippling back through time. So when you do stuff, potentially there's ripples that come back through time. So I've actually done this, and it's been impacted, and it's felt and stuff, and I've had some interesting beings gravitate towards me, and I've had some interesting shakeouts and compromise sort of stuff. I'm very defined on my boundaries. I say it every time I vet people before I let them in, and the vetting is me clearing and healing, and if that's not what people feel a match to, that's cool. But usually what I do is I let people in, and then as soon as I start asking questions and talking, I'm clearing, and I've got to defend myself, and me being in the healing state is very defensive for me, and then I clear people, and then they're okay to deal with. So that's the way I operate now, all right? I'm very defined on that. And I've got my ally, Captain Marvel, shout out to you, my dear. She's in the background, like, kicking me in the ass to get my galactic gangster going, and defending me, and being an absolute ally. So she's creating space, and she's had a few upgrades of late, and I'm going through it, she says, as well. And I've interesting, it's like I've got chakras in my hands going pretty hardcore at the moment and stuff. So, but I don't want to talk too much. I want to keep this a lot shorter than the others. This will be a bit of ideally a shorter overview download of the Incarnation War and stuff. And what I might be doing is showing that image that I created from that March 25th, 2016 download, where I said I was trying to brew how to explain what I knew more elegantly and easily, because I felt like I've said in the past, if you can explain things to a 7-year-old, which is basically what my images are aimed for, you can explain it to anyone. So that image might be a bit hard to see. Unfortunately, I lost that little notepad that I used to like journal in and stuff. So I've only got those images, thankfully. But yeah, it might be a bit hard to understand and stuff. But like light language and images and stuff, what I feel is if you even look at that, you'll get downloads from it. It will activate codes and all that sort of stuff, because it's got my frequency, like my Pleiadian celestial singer, plus all the Arcturian stuff that I've been dealing with lately and stuff. And there's definitely been a bit of a battleground for me to get this done, a bit like when I got to America in 2016. That was pretty epic just to get over there. What happened over there was epic as well, doing Turtle Island with Mandy Lynn Golden, Eagle After, and she's defending it very well of late. So shout out to you, my dear, as well. It's great to catch up with you earlier in this year and find out what's going on with you, and you're still alive. So yeah, as I said in that short intro, if I've shown it, because it was a bit aimed to be funny and stuff, is I really appreciate Dolores Cannon. She's an amazing being, and she feels like an absolute grandmother, and her intent is very pure. Just though what she states in that is she's a psychologist. She's a like a past life regressionist particularly, and what she was gaining was the information related to convoluted universes being seeded to her through client sessions, over thousands of sessions, right? And you know, I've shown clips of Richard Alan Miller in the past, and Richard Alan Miller, he was the head physicist for the Pentagon, and one of his discoveries was actually discovering the frequencies to create mind control, right? And remote influences, like he talks about how particularly the son of Sam was seeded with information to plant in him, like he was hearing voices and stuff, right? So
what I want to ask you here, I'm stumbling on your work with Alan Frey, and where you got into this situation where I guess he had written, or did you jointly write the holographic concept of reality?
Alan Frey was at Willow Grove. He was out of Willow Grove. He's working for a different government agency and had made this discovery by accident. It then went across Dr. Carl Schleicher's desk, and Schleicher sent it to me for comment. That's when we suggested, oh, this would be perfect for mind control. And off they went, studying the 0.3 to 3 gigahertz. That's what Alan Frey had discovered, that man had another sensory motor input. Basically, what the microwave band did, and I'm writing about that right now, that what it did was that it caused the temporal lobes to heat up slightly and become more compact, and they began to ring. Once they began to ring, you could take the microwave bandwidth and heterodyne voices onto it, and people could actually hear those voices in their head, just like Son of Sam or something of that nature.
Right.
And the problem was, many people do not have what we call inner plane experiences of consciousness, and so they have no idea whether a voice that's inside their head is coming from them or from something outside themselves. And so, of course, the first mode of defense is to simply say, like the Hopi Indian, man has a responsibility for the thoughts he chooses to entertain. In other words, whether that thought came from you or that thought came from somewhere else, why are you choosing to hold it in your mind's eye?
Absolutely.
Well,
okay,
here it is.
Now,
read it in the way. That's the plea. And so you started training SEALs and special forces with these concepts so that they could use their belief systems as a tool rather than a driver. If you were a staunch Christian and two aliens walked in the door, the big question is, would you be able to see them? And now, with all of that said, belief systems are important to all of us, and, assumed truths. They're arbitrary, it turns out, and most people don't even know where they came from. They just assume they're correct. Jesus said it, I believe it, and that's that. But, with that said, I have a pair of bell-bottom pants I'm never going to fit in again. But I still keep them like a belief system as a reminder. They may not be appropriate for what I'm trying to do. And so you fold them up nice and neat, and you put them in the drawer to pull out later because they're familiar and comfortable with you, like old clothing is. And that's basically what I did. One of the power tools was to train SEALs how to change their belief systems like they would a pair of clothing. Now, in order to do that, you have to be able to witness your behavior. That's a different altered state, and why all the saints have throughout history told the public the importance of meditation and training the mind. That's basically, it's like an unruly little child. It runs all over the place. And, of course, the thoughts you choose to entertain are what happens. And so if you have a doubt, there it is. Merlin put it very succinctly when he said, anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. That was in a little book by T.H. White. And that concept applies. Whatever is possible, you can count on it.
I've shown clips of Richard Alan Miller in the past, and Richard Alan Miller, he was the head physicist for the Pentagon, and one of his discoveries was actually discovering the frequencies to create mind control, all right, and remote influences, like he talks about how particularly the son of Sam was seeded with information to plant in him, like he was hearing voices and stuff, right? So my acceptance of the way things are is things are very easily influenced, and if it's going into areas that we're not familiar with, say channeling and stuff like that, they can be compromised. I'm not saying everyone is, it's everything needs to be discerned, and the information is just data, right? But in Galactic Special Forces Part 4, Nikki and I, my time, it was a Thursday morning or Friday morning, starting at 2:30 in the morning and going to 5:30 in the morning, so 3 hours of very high frequency work at very late hours. And if you do that work, you just can't just go to sleep, you know what I mean? You have to wind down and stuff like that. So it wasn't the best time. It was right in this little niche that was almost improbable. And yeah, I had to go and work in my kitchen for 10 hours that Friday, right? And my sister-in-law was absolute pain in the ass, and there was an actual fire at about 8 o'clock that night, all right? So the venue was working against me to crunch me and put me off and destroy me, all right? Because working in the kitchen I was working in was a demonic portal, and it was like doing gym, all right? An hour there was like an hour gym, so you do 10 hours. It's like absolutely, physically extreme, all right? And then there was a fire in the venue, so that was crazy, okay? Of all days to have a fire in a venue that day after we did that work. But the Galactic Special Forces Part 4 with Nikki and I, when we were on their edge, all right? You listen to how demanding it is. It's like Galactic Special Forces, ready anytime, any day, 24/7, all right? Ready to go. And the reason why it's 24/7 is there's no warning, and it's pure defensive, like for our safety, right? And for the reality to adapt and do it. And what happened was, we basically, long story short, if you get through it, we were being attacked by certain people, all right, that I'm not going to mention names, all right, but what we got to is basically eliminating the species that were doing a lot of negative stuff, all right, and doing a lot of the channeling and all that sort of crap, all right? So, the reason why I'm saying that is that there are elements out there that are negative that were doing stuff, and, related to channeling and all that. This species were using technology and all sorts of stuff to do a lot of negative stuff, and they got the option to put their technology down, and they didn't. So it was like, you're attacking us, so you're violating us, we can act, right? So telepathically I sent to Nikki that let's just reduce them to a single cell so we don't eliminate them from the universe. And so that's what happened, right? It was a warning to them. And then the next month a new universe was formed, right? It was like a message to the dark forces out there, don't fuck with us, all right? It was big, epic. So so when Dolores Cannon says there's no negative and stuff like that, all right, that's not true, all right? You go listen to all the Galactic Special Forces that have been involved in. There are actual live recordings of actual missions of what's going on in the universe, all right? And the other thing with that, okay, if I show you an image, I drew this before, all right? Now I've got this other image. So this is one I've used before, where I talk about the like the 3D versus challenging your paradigm, and then the out there sort of concepts of like psychic abilities. Like this is like the ability to download information, all right? And most people don't have the energy in the body, so they go with the narrative. And then when you get a bit of energy, you get the ability to absorb more, right? And when you get a lot of energy and you're healed and cleared and stuff, your ability to perceive all the outside angles and stuff where most people aren't. So this is a bit of a metaphor. So if everything was just positive, no negative, you'd only absorb this data, all right? But there is light and dark, there is good and bad, and there is action and consequence. The universal law of karma is in play, alright? So if I go back to the earlier image, so this is the universe according to Dolores Cannon, alright? She's saying that like all the ETs out there aren't bad, there's only good experience and stuff like that. So what I'm doing here is seeing the 3D, there's good and bad, alright? But at the high levels, there's not, alright? My attitude to this is it's not correct, okay? And the reason why is that you look at this from the spectrum of potential soul experience. If you don't have the dark, alright, there's all this that isn't a potential of experience, alright? Because it's all about soul development and stuff like that. You got to take that and part of the development is to be a scumbag, you know what I mean? To be bad, to do consequence. So you learn on the soul level and then you grow, alright? So if I show you another diagram, so say I've got this one, alright? Say you can be good and then you can go bad, alright? And then you can go bad and then you can go good at a high level, alright? And then you can be bad at a high level and you can do bad to low level beings, such as what's going on Earth and stuff. And perhaps to grow, alright, or the next level is, like, say if these lines are dimensional levels, say the only avenue to get up to that next dimensional level is to go into bad first, and then to get in here. So all I'm just saying is contemplate it from a soul experience level, alright? If you watch The Matrix, there's, in the second one I think it was, they finally meet the architect, and he talks about being a parody, like a, you know, a paradise sort of reality, that what he said was a complete failure because, you know, people thought it, like the souls, the people in the bodies thought it was a load of crap sort of thing, alright? It was not accurate. They saw through it, alright? So what I'm wanting you to focus on is the soul level of experience, alright? Thinking that high levels are purely divine and like benevolent and stuff like that, that's not accurate, alright? And this will go into it in a better way, alright? What I'll do is, you just got to drop that assumption, and it doesn't mean you need to fear them and stuff like that, but you have to understand and investigate from their perspective what good and bad is. You know, a lot of species don't have the concept of good and bad, they just have what they have, you know? Like we have the emotion, a lot of other species don't have emotion and stuff. They've got agendas and what they want to achieve and stuff like that. And maybe there's karma, which is why Earth is here and stuff like that, alright? So if I get into the Incarnation War sort of perspective, I'll show you another diagram. So I've got quite a few images that I'm going to expand upon. So if I show you that, just as an intro, the diagram that I drew, it might be popping up here just so you can see it. What I intend to do is just break this down a bit and explain it a little bit. And what I feel I do, what I feel I will do in imparting this to you is actually engage your dormant memories and stuff. It'll activate a lot of people, and I think a lot of people's soldar, I call it soldar, soul radar, soldar will be gravitating towards this, because this teaching, the reason why I'm doing it is to help all sides here. I think Andrew talks about us being in a hairball, and yeah, I'm wanting to impart it also because I'm the custodian of the perspectives that can explain it a bit more, to translate it into layman's terms, like I used to do in IT. I used to be able to translate the complex into like measure the audience level of comprehension, whether I was dealing with a very complex concept and explaining it relative to the language that the individual need. I think this will help a lot of people to actually really give them sort of light codes and all that sort of unravel, because the aha moments might kick in, you know. What I suggest is you probably watch these quite a few times and just study them, and think about it and contemplate. All right. So I'll show you the first image. Well, I'll show you another image that I've used quite a bit. All right. So I've used this, and what this sort of what I'm trying to do with this one is just show you the step downs from the 7th D to the 3D where we're in now. And so the line looks like a bit of a ski jump, and all these arrows are the dimensional levels. Nothing is to scale, nothing is accurate, but in the bigger picture, foundational part 1, I referred to, did a recording in mid-2018 with Andrew called the Solar System Update. And what he said is we'd cross the galactic central plane, right? So what I might be doing is showing you an image of the galaxy as well at certain points, showing how vast it is. I think just the number off the top of my head is 278 million years it takes for the galaxy to revolve around one loop. That's a huge amount of time, right? So what can happen is, we're talking epic scales of time, alright? So just as a more relevant recent sort of period, Andrew talks about where in 54 million years of history there's been 3 Lemurias and 3 Atlantises, and the hairball's pretty epic because everyone's had time travel abilities and messing it up, so we've all decided to incarnate and go forward to be here now. And what's happening is that everything is sort of on our side, and then we're getting this pushback lately, alright? So what I'm intending to do is explain a lot of what's going on in the world relative to the Incarnation War, because it's, turning of the tide sort of thing, literally. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of pushback. So I've used this image quite a bit. So I'll get into the first image. So this is the first explanation that I'll use. And I've got that ski jump sort of thing where we've got the 7D to 3D where we're at. Nothing is to scale here. And then I've also got this timeline, right? So you imagine this is linear time, right? So you got to think about time is a lot different now than what it's been in the past. Like Roman numeral time has only been around for 2,000 years, within the last 2,000 years anyway. It's a lot less than that. But what they did is they created a Gregorian calendar, implemented it, and then they would have churches where they put the churches on the sacred site sort of thing, and then they'd have a spire, and then they'd have a copper bell, and then they would ring the bell at certain points of the day to instill into people time, sort of thing, alright? So before the last 2,000 years, let's say, it was very, very different, and also we're at a high level frequencies and stuff, so we're in different dimensional levels and stuff. So long story short, what I'm showing here is the tops. Lemuria 1, Lemuria 2, Lemuria 3, Atlantis 1, Atlantis 2, Atlantis 3, and this is where we are now. We're just like, this is light space, this is dark. So what's gone on is the galaxy's gone around, we've gone across central planes to golden ages and dark ages, golden ages, dark ages, golden ages, dark ages. So this is a very, very simplistic sort of view. If I show another image, so I've got the simplistic view up the top. This is probably what it's been like, up, down, I showed you the stock market charts and stuff like that. So what I'm doing is trying to just simplify it and give you a framework of the mechanics and some of the variables at play. And it is obviously vastly more complicated than what I'm saying. And this metaphor is like a stock chart, alright? Ups and downs, peaks and troughs, light and dark, and it's like progress and fall back, progress and fall back. And what I'm wanting to instill is that growth can take a long time to grow. Failure is pretty simple and catastrophic, alright? So the metaphor of what's being instilled into us now, alright? Because what I feel is going on in society is there's a realization of the game is up, and the Incarnation War, where we've defeated a lot of the past resistances, so there's an effort to do some stuff at the moment, alright? If I show you the image of a book, there's a reason why I showed this book, alright, in the last videos, and it's not to create fear or project my fear or anything like that. It's a time for you sleeping Galactic Special Forces people to activate, alright? Because what happens is a lot of people talk a big game, but as I said in Galactic Special Forces Part 4, where it's a prime example of Nikki and I going into the fire, right? Yeah. The Galactic Special Forces people, we are the ones that hold it, and we are the ones that deal with this stuff. We don't run, we don't talk a big game, we don't say we're whatever, and then do very misguided shit, alright? We're the best of the best. A lot of people would be claiming that they're that level, but when the times get tough, the tough get going, and a lot of people prove to be flaky and not up to it, alright? So a metaphor for me of being Galactic Special Forces when I was doing IT is in the early 2000s and stuff, after 9/11 stuff, I did something called the Microsoft Certified Software Engineer, MCSE. It was 7 exams, very, very difficult. And what a lot of people were doing, they were actually cheating, right, and getting passes and stuff like that. What I did is I created a whole computer lab and learnt the hard way, and I created all these tests and scenarios to learn thoroughly to be able to go in the exam and do it authentically and prove whether I could do it or not. And it was huge effort, alright? The reason why I did that, alright, is because a lot of corporations were looking to get that certification in their, they have a number of certifications. They get discounts from Microsoft to be able to sell their products, to buy them cheaper, to make more profit. So there was an incentive for corporations to get people with that qualification to make more profit on what they sold, alright? What happened is a lot of people, they cheated, got paid a lot of money, and then they would get put into the fire of having to actually solve the shit, and then they couldn't do it, alright? My attitude was, I would freaking hate to be expected to be able to do the hardcore solutions and not be ready for it. I don't know if you've ever been unprepared for stuff, but it freaking sucks. And my attitude, I've always been humble and not say a lot, because you don't know how you're going to go in tests and stuff like that. So like what I've shared about being in Sydney, the test was on, it was like, my ex was suicidal, do I go for money or do I choose love? And I chose love, and that was my activator, right? But people say they would do that, but they don't do it, alright? When the pure test is on, alright, it's bullshit, alright? You have to witness people in the moment to see how they react, alright? So yeah, it's so me showing you this is, for those of you who are dormant, it's time to really fire up. And what's happened to me is there have been some people starting to gravitate to my frequency and seek me out that are very, very hardcore high level. And I have got my ally, who I talk about, Captain Marvel, who absolutely got my back, right? She sees me, she sees everything, and she sees everyone that she interacts with, and it's effortless. And she's getting upgrades, like she can see the whole grid of the earth, like the artificial grid, and she can see what's going on and the control and the magic realms. She's making sure that that's not accessible for the negative and shit like that, alright? So she can't be public. There's a reason for that, and she's been on an epic journey of 10 years of doing Galactic Special Forces on her own, multiple per day, makes what I've done look like nothing, alright? So yeah, she's absolutely hardcore, and I thank her for popping up. And she went through my vetting process. She sought me out for sessions to help clear her and stuff like that. So that's how I could deal with her. So despite what she's done, she respected my boundaries and went via my boundaries to me. She didn't skip steps. She didn't think she was exclusive, and yeah. So I want to keep this rolling and stuff. I've offered 2 Galactic Special Forces tests in this, alright? That's what I'm saying, like the Moto Water and that book, alright? There were sort of little subtle triggers that I've offered, alright? So I've showed you this, alright? And so this whole time frame from Andrew's perspective is 54 million years. So if you look at the rotation of the galaxy, it's say about a quarter, right? And what he says is we've gone through 4 attempts already of trying to go through this sort of 54 million years to resolve all the karma of the universe, and there's not been enough karma resolved, alright, in the universe. So it's been wiped, started again from scratch, and an effort to make it through the 54 million years and resolve all the karma, right? So what happens is that's each of those 4 wipings are the 4 paradoxes, and we're in the 5th world of peace now, alright? So that's what that is about, okay? So if we get into a bit more of the complexity of what's gone on relative to Earth and in, say, the last 54 million years. So the rise and fall of civilizations, and what's happened is that what happened is, say, Lemuria rose to a high level of civilization at the 7th dimensional sort of level. So there was off-world trade and species would migrate here and stuff like that. A lot of the souls here would like go through the experience to raise to a higher level and then choose to be planets sort of thing, like 5th dimensional level and stuff. And then Earth would go and see those planets with life, which I've said in the past in relative to the wound chakra that I guard over a long period, is that, like I said, there were species that light and dark, you know, like karma was a weapon and used and not the consequence thought of, and then there was species that do not create karma and do not cause influence and stuff like that. So there's a concept called the Galactic Federation of Planets, not the Federation of Light. That's what Captain Marvel told me and stuff. So from someone else, like the linguistics are very important. So in the universe is light and dark, and this is incarnation level, and you can go through and at a higher level incarnate anywhere through, say, this linear multi-dimensional timeline, right? And at the high level, what happened, I think it was 1.5 billion years ago, the universe decided to go pure free will, and our universe is very rare for that, right? And so what happened is the other universes, so in preparation for the going of free will, there was an expectation from our universe that there's going to be a huge level of soul migrations from other universes come here and stuff. So that's where Earth comes in as the galactic seed planet. There was going to be a massive need for facilities such as planets to be on offer for souls that were going to expand the volume of life in the universe via migrations to want to incarnate on. So that's where Earth's being the prize of the prize with the 300 womb chakras and able to transfer life onto the fresh blink of Akashic robes. And so species, like individuals, will develop their high level soul level to be a planet and sort of thing. Alright, so I'm just getting to the point pretty quick. And so what came across in one instance was, I think it was a reptilian species, and not all reptilians are bad, but one particular one brought the concept of war. Alright? And so this was a new concept, and they asked permission whether they could bring war to the universe, and because it's a pure free will environment, war was not prevented. It's an expression of experience, right? And so what Andrew said were there were 24 very high level beings, right? And this was in a recording with JP very early on in 2013, that he said that there were 24 beings who were basically on par with Prime Creator, like the creator of the universe. They had done everything, they were bored, and they were sort of a match to his solar level, right? And what happened, there were 15 of these 24 beings that saw this war concept come, and they separated, and they chose to get into war, alright? Chose to do stuff that created karma, alright? So in a free will universe, everything is allowable, but some expressions of experience have consequence, and consequence is karma, and karma is a universal law of consequence, alright? So if you cause consequence, then you must resolve it, sort of thing. So that's what karma is. And karma can go from across lifetimes to lifetimes, alright? It follows the soul, alright? So I'll move on, because I'm just trying to do a quick overview here, alright? So this is quite an advanced view of that, alright? So what you can see is light. This is basically an incarnation war relative to light and dark, alright? So when it would peak, alright, on the rising of the peak, so light, see on the rising of the peak, light to help brew the higher potential, light would incarnate to help brew it. And then on the downfall, you can see here, on the way down, and down here to maintain domination and control, and destruct Atlantis and Lemuria and stuff like that. So there was 3 Lemurias and 3 Atlantises, right? Rise and peaks, rise and peaks, rise and peaks. And there'd be war and stuff, and say at the peak they might do some negative stuff to a species, and that would, the metaphor is, the species would turn dark, and then they would do stuff to lower, like bring war and consequence and stuff like that. And light and dark was out in the universe, and they would be coming to Earth, you know, they would coming to try and gain control and stuff like that, alright, and impacting as well. So, you know, light and dark, the linear, like, galaxy spin with the golden ages and stuff like that, and you know, the desire for control of Earth and stuff. So that, I'll just move on pretty quick. So say this is a simplified image of that, okay? This is just showing a few examples, alright? This is showing an overall example, alright, of all the complex of going on through the peaks and troughs of golden ages and stuff like that, alright? So what was happening is, this is just an example of light brewing it, and dark affecting it, right? And then there were these, out of those 24 beings, there were 15 beings, and for a very, very, very long time they were watching, right? But then what they would do is actually be a third variable that not many people got, not many souls got, and stuff like that. And what they would do is they would incarnate into the light and dark, right? And then they would do shards of themselves into the peaks and trough to help bring about change, you know? They were actually creating drama, alright? And the light and the dark, they didn't even really know that they were being infiltrated by another third variable, because these high level beings were much higher than these. So say these were 5th, 6th dimensional beings, like Arcturians and Arcturians, Pleiadians and stuff like that, reptilians and all that sort of stuff. Some of the species, you know what I mean? I don't want to really put labels on anyone, because there's good and bad in everything. But these guys are watching everything and just like being pains in the arse, alright? And playing an incarnation game that no one else was getting. But what they would create is disorder and influence and stuff like that, right? So if I show you the next image, so they observed this for millions and millions and millions of years, and then there was a point, I think Andrew said 400 to 450,000 years ago, right, where they chose their moment to go and affect things. So what they would do from that 400,000 year point mark ago, they would incarnate, sort of thing, and then they'll go back through time, because at a higher dimensional level, in the incarnation level, it's not driven by 3D, alright? They could go back through time at a peak and stuff, and then they'll go into these light and dark, and they would be variables that would actually create drama, right? And they'd create drama in each of them and stuff. So that's the significance of the 440,000 year, 400 to 440,000 year. I haven't reviewed Andrew's stuff for a very long time. It's just a bit off my head after many, many years, but it's like the beachhead for the incarnation, invasion, and infiltration on the soul level, all right? To get in and go back through time and instill themselves at all different points, all right? So then what they were doing was actually creating drama between worlds and planets and stuff. And what happened was, like say this is the 15 using Earth and the peaks and troughs to go out and cause drama with other planets and other species, and they would get them entangled through time wars and all sorts of stuff, right? So what they would do is trigger other worlds to get entangled, all right? And then when the entanglement happened, that was the expansion of the hairball, all right? Like if I'm showing a ball of wool, all right? So these are just some of the aspects that were going on to create drama, because drama creates entanglement, and entanglement creates karma and all that sort of stuff, which creates unresolution, which creates complexity, and this is all getting to the point of why we're here and stuff, right? We're the best in the universe. So if I just move on, so this is the last one I might show in this instance, right? Is what was going on is, right, that I've said in Infinite Potential Healing, where I describe the sacred sites and the womb chakras and stuff, how significant they are. So I suggest they are homework, right? Particularly part 2, because I guard one. I know how sacred it is, right? All this shit, right, I'm aware of, and I've done Galactic Special Forces. I created Galactic History 2 that made all the money that Andrew kept, and yeah, totally been polarized and destroyed on the Dreamtime level, and prevented all the people that are meant to see me and stuff like that. I've held all this knowledge, held all those components. I've been putting epic beings back together and stuff, and gets used by all these high level beings and stuff, and I'm the one that's holding all this data, right? So whatever you think you've been through, times it by infinity, and that's probably what I'm been living through, right? I've even been talking how, like, my family, I'm between a rock and a hard place, and I've sought help from my mum for many years, and everyone keeps empowering her to undermine me and stuff, right? Anyway, like, it'll be told, you'll be able to tune into my Akashic record after, in my soul, and like I said in the misconception of death, therefore life itself, or existence itself, like, I'm working on having a glorious past life, like life review, right? So this is about you as well, right? This is how you fit into all this, because you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't be listening to this, you wouldn't be in human form now unless this was an aspect of your truth. So while I talk about, it might feel like you're not Galactic Special Forces, you are, and what I'm trying to do is activate those who have it in them to do their stuff. And this data that I'm imparting will go a great way to help activate, like, a big puzzle piece in the consciousness Tetris in a lot of people, because it took me like thousands of hours to put that together to create my teaching here based on the information I've gathered. If this was a teaching of someone else's stuff, it would have been put together that way. It hasn't, so I have to do it now, alright? Because I'm just getting to the chase of what's going on Earth and to humanity now, relative to the book cover I showed, alright? Because it's like, it's sort of confirmation that we're breaking through at another level, alright? Hey guys, Andre Hodge here, just adding a bit of a edit midstream of the mainstream that I've done of what will be part 3 and part 4 in the Incarnation War series that I'm doing. What I've decided to do is just break it up, that mainstream, because it would be quite long and a lot to absorb. So what I've sort of done is I've reviewed what I've done, and the 2 sections I'm going to talk about, which you've just seen, is what's happened up until now, and the next one, part 4, that I'll be releasing, say, next week or whenever, is going to be where we're at now, sort of thing. Okay, so what I want to do is just add a little bit of an outro to this part 3, to round it out a little bit and talk a little bit about what was said in it. And what I'm going to do is do a bit of an intro. I'll look like this because this is the second recording I've done in this stream on this theme. And then I'll probably add to it at the end in another video, another recording as well. So I hope you've enjoyed it so far. I hope you gained a great deal from it. It might seem quite easy that I've sort of explained it, but it took many years to be able to get to that point of actually visualizing. Even just this week I had to sort of isolate myself and retreat a bit to brew the energy to even contemplate it. And it's, like I said in that video, I've had ripples go back through time. It was quite a wild ride this week to sort of be able to articulate it that way. And for me it's a big thing to share this stuff. Whether or not it means anything to you or anyone else out there, that's up to you. I'm not one of the disciplines I learnt when doing the Conscious Explorer series is not to be attached to the outcome of whatever you do. So my investment is purely in doing the best I can. And the reason why I do these simple images is that it's about me getting to the point of being able to explain it. If I was going to do graphic artwork and stuff, it might take me weeks to do, and I don't want to get bogged down in that. I think when people get the visualization of it, they'll get the concept that they will expand upon and stuff. So what I've done in this is offer some very specific code sort of stuff. And 2 of the things were what I said about the structured water, about me calling myself Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee, and that's me owning my power from all the 10 years of plus of stuff that I've done. There's a very specific and subtlety between owning your power and being delusional without doing the basic work, alright? It's very significant, even though it's subtle. You can call yourself out a big game, but you got to back it with, it's not just talk the talk, it's walk the walk. So for me, I went through 10 years of like retreating, and I got to the point where I was in Galactic Special Forces Part 1, which I've said before, where I was in holding the space with Nikki, and she was chanting, and I saw everyone, I felt everyone throughout all time that I was going to affect and needed to be stepping up to be their catalyst for whatever they're to be, and it was a lot, and I was just weeping, all right? I was like, holy shit, I didn't even calculate that I could be a variable people need. So that's where I own my responsibility. But as I said, I went through thoroughness first, humble like the dust, all right? And I didn't go and, like everyone in 2013 was going and doing a radio show, hosting and being public and wanting to be the star and the attention and all that sort of crap. And I'm very aware of what projections do, all right? The energy and all that sort of stuff, all right? So as I've sort of tried to explain my sensitivity, I'm not wanting to sort of make you feel that you will do bad for me. What I'm trying to do is I can understand the subtleties very well. So what I'm trying to do is articulate it. And these variables are potentially going on with people that they don't even realize are going on, that are influencing you. So me being a teacher and a reference for that sort of stuff, I'm trying to educate the audience of the potentials that are out there, and to say maybe it's not affecting you, but the behavior of others if I show you the image. So a lot of people are going to access their abilities and talents, and so maybe over that side they're not aware of their sensitivities, but as the energies expand, you know, and what all this stuff is about, everything in alignment to us accessing our talents, a lot of people are going to come into it and they're not going to understand what's going on. So me trying to articulate this is actually an education process for my perspective of the potential for human consciousness raising, right, and accessing to our abilities, being in a different frequency, sort of stuff. So the other thing why I talked about this book, or I showed this book, as to one of the potentials that may be unfolding, all right? And the reason why I showed that is I said it's an activation sort of thing, all right? And what I want to do is just expand on that a little bit, because I didn't really articulate it that well, was I've talked about Max Steel a bit, all right? And I've said there's other points to go and research and hear what I said about him, and that one of the things he taught me was, Andre, when you see stuff that you don't like and you don't, and like say when I read news articles and stuff, I can feel the polarity in them that's designed to influence and all that sort of stuff, to create the belief energy for humanity to co-create it, all right? So there's a threshold and there's a lot of magic and all that sort of stuff going on with all those sort of things to empower the placebo and the negative placebo and people to co-create the reality, because this world and this society that we're in, it requires our life force to co-create it, all right? So one of the things Max Steel did was, he said, Andre, whenever you see something that you don't like or whatever, and you can feel it's going to impact things, it's like you hold it in you and emanate, it's not going to happen. And what that does, it's pushing it back, all right? So what I'm suggesting and alluring to is those of you who are Galactic Special Forces level, who haven't gone into fear, who are owning their power and feeling very empowered by what's going on, because there is a subtly empowerment for those sort of sleeper beings out there, that it's time to fire up and own your power and anchor yourself and negate a lot of the negative frequencies that are going on, all right? Is one particular potential that's trying to be unfolded and manifest here. This is the pressure, the coal to make us the diamond sort of thing. Like I put a clip about Iron Fist, about how all the pressure made him access his power, is that those out there who are what I say the peerless peers will push back all that sort of, you know, misguided efforts to have potentials, which I'm not really going to say about, but I feel there's a lot of very powerful beings out there that are behind the scenes that aren't public, and most of them are a bit like what I say about Captain Marvel, that can't be seen, all right? But this is to you guys out there. It's your self-awareness has a huge potential to negate a lot of the unawareness, placebo co-creation effort that's going on, okay? So what I'm sort of instilling into you guys is it's to push it back, and it's thorough researchers that really have a good grasp on what's going on. It's not going to happen, all right? And I'll mention Max Steel for another reason, because I don't know, it was about a month ago or whatever, I gave him instructions, me being in 3D, us in 3D on the ground, and this is why the Incarnation War, this part 3 and 4 is, I'm trying to instill the authority that you have in the universe by being in human form now, alright? It's no time to be meek, it's no time to be governed by your lower energies because you're in fear and stuff, and I'll talk about that in a little second. It's time to own it and be the Frodos, the crazy diamonds, the last mimsies, alright? To anchor the potential that's about to unfold, alright? And has been brewing to unfold for a very long time, and we've gone through thousands of lifetimes to get here, which the next one will be about, the next release. But one of the things that I sort of suggest to Max Steele is, I know he's out there, right? I've had people interact with him and stuff, and I suggested if you guys are in trouble, you can engage with him and put it out there, like ask for help and invite him in to assist, all right? But one of the things he used to do is talk about how negative bases were being destroyed by his team, right? So just, there's variables out there that are going on that don't add up, all right? Such as earthquakes, okay? So what I knew he used to do was his team would blow up underground bases, all right? So I know there's one ally out there that's in another region of Australia that say one sort of happened, all right? And so my guess is he's looking out for your back, my dear, all right? So just like the pattern recognition, don't try and think that everything will contort into what you perceive, right? There's variables going on of unknown variables that we can't perceive and stuff like that, all right? So yeah, my feeling is potentially he's been out there being busy, right? And potentially there's going to be a lot of things that don't add up because we're only aware of what we're aware of. We're not aware of the full scale of the full spectrum of all the information, all right? So, and the recordings I did of part 1 and 2 were done a couple of weeks ago now, and I've been talking to my ally Captain Marvel and stuff, and one of the variables I got, all right, because I haven't said this, is in the infinite potential part 1 and 2, I think it was in part 2, I said Earth has probably got some surprises in us, and one of the surprises would be new womb chakras opening up around people and stuff, all right? Like Earth will connect directly to the people and not go, via a middleman or a spirit guide or whatever like that, have a third party potential of being influenced. That's why I put in the Richard Allen Miller clip about how easy it is to influence people and stuff. People say their guides are giving them information and stuff, but people that have agendas can easily be influenced to undermine people, all right? And pass, and that's where I was putting in the Galactic Special Forces Part 7 and 8. Richard Arnold Miller and the magic and will power, all right? And when your will is thwarted, then you can act, all right? So there's a lot of chess moves and influences going on, especially around me. I'm very, very aware of it, all right? But it's interesting. I got a blank, total blank right now. Yeah, that was quite interesting. I had to stop and re-listen to what I was about to say because I got a total blank on it. I talked about the surprises in Earth, and this is what it just went. It totally went. All right, I had to stop the recording and go and re-listen to where I was at. Okay, and the surprise. One big surprise I worked out in the last couple of weeks, and I heard this. I actually heard this in a bit of a hidden interview of one of the people I'm sort of following at the moment that I can't really mention their names, but he actually said it, okay, which is quite interesting because this is what I got, okay, the last few weeks, and I got this really big surprise, okay, because what's going on, say, this, okay, so there's a perception about the volume of certain numbers out there that are too much, and so there's got to be culling sort of thing to fit into the management of things, okay. And what I got, all right, like there's a section in the Dolores canons that she said, Earth will just shed us, like we're not important to her and stuff like that. That's fucking bullshit, all right. We are number ones to Earth, all right. Her thing is about providing us with the facility to have all the experiences we have, or maybe even dream of having that we don't know, good or bad, all right. She's a facilitator for us each individually and collective to have an experience, all right. So say if there's a threshold rising, and I want to just put this now early on in all this sort of stuff because it's all relevant to what's going on. Because a week, if I release it in a week's time, a week is a long time, all right? Is one of the really fascinating surprises is, say, we get to the max out, all right? We're using all the resources and all that, all the space taken up and all that, blah, 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 all right? What Earth has the potential to do is like, oh, okay, so you're a threshold and stuff and everything's, you know, right at a crux point sort of thing. What she would do is like, she's this 3D expression. She'll expand, okay? It's like, oh, you need more real estate? Well, fucking I'll give it to you, all right? And so what Earth is, the way I see Earth, is like a dried up sultana. Like the 3D aspect of Earth is like this shrunken, drained, you know, all the acupuncture points are locked down with military bases and stuff to compress her to be this minute state, all right? And what she would do naturally, if that wasn't the case, she would actually cater for us and expand, all right? So we need, you know, another continent or whatever, fine. I'll manifest it and I'll expand to cater for the human will and the universal will to immigrate to Earth and incarnate onto her and have an experience, to have it as a soul credit to go out in the universe and do whatever needs to be done. Like this whole series, like this particular episode is all about the migrations that want to come here and stuff. And I used some numbers, and they were just numbers. I talk about 21 trillion and 198 trillion sort of thing in the next part, in the second part of this main recording. They're just numbers I perceived. Whether they're accurate or not, there's other people that have better perceptions, but what I was trying to do in using those numbers is give the scale of volume of life that's out there and wants to be here, and how precious we are, being the 3D 7.3 billion that are here and stuff, all right? So Stan Deo, I remember asking, he had this interview on Revolution Radio, and I got to ask him about the Earth expansion concept, and he said, yeah, it's doable. So it's interesting. I actually got to ask him an interview, like a question in a show, like in 2013, I think. And this other person referred to him when I heard this thing yesterday, all right? So I just wanted to offer that. Like, this is problem solving, all right? This is lateral thinking. This is working with the unknown and what we think we know and what is possible, all right? So you just think, wow, you know, all the resources are used and all that, like, there's no hope. Yes, there is. There's other options that we're not even willing to consider because we accept what we're told as being all, right? Everything is final, everything is malleable, everything is expansive, everything is possible, all right? So that was something I just wanted to add, all right? So the last thing I mentioned about the fear and stuff, and I mentioned about things bubbling back through time and stuff, is that people governed by the reptilian brain, which is the fear and all that, like the survival instincts and control is, I would love to find out where I got it. I mean, I've done thousands and thousands of hours of research, but one of the things that happened after 9/11, right, because that event was so shocking, okay, what a lot of people, particularly women, the reptilian instinct kicked in and the lower energies, all right, relative to the survival of the species. So a lot of women went out and got pregnant and got children and then birthed children, all right, after that, okay? Because what that did, it triggered people to go into survival mode, and one of the survival modes is looking to link up with people, all right? So say, for instance, a lot of people get very, like, their lower energies, their sexual energies rise quite high, all right, in moments of huge uncertainty and fear, because what that does, it gravitates them to link up with someone, and because they deep down inside they feel the inability to master and endure the situation on their own, okay? And that's opposite of what a galactic special forces would do. galactic special forces, we brace and we anchor it, and we're holding the space for everyone else, and we go into the fire when there's a fucking house burning to rescue those that are in trouble, to make sure that they survive, right? We don't run from hardship, we face it and we go and endure it. And then the metaphor is the healing. You get on the fucking people's tables and you go gangbusters and explore all the options, and that's a bit of a metaphor of what's going on, all right? So this is a message out there to you divine masculine brothers, all right? Watch out for the freaking honey traps, all right? If something seems too good to be true, then you got to be discerning it, all right? If you don't get attention and stuff like that, and all of a sudden there's women out there putting themselves out there in a way that is inviting on that level, you just got to be a bit, masterful of your own energies, all right? Because that can be an indicator that what I'm trying to say about this energy and stuff is there's canary in the coal mine sort of indicators of what the future is coming, all right? And if there's huge uncertainty, which from my perspective there's a huge likelihood of doing, and I'm trying to inspire the peerless peer galactic special forces anchors to push a lot of shit back so it can't even bleed into the reality, all right? That's why I'm saying all this stuff. Is the canary in the coal mines might be those that are governed by that, all right? So like I said, it's not about talking the talk, it's about walking the walk and being in it and anchoring it and being strong and resilient and stuff. So women are different because guys are very governed by that, right? Women have to be very aware and defensive on that level if guys go for that angle, right? I'm just saying to you divine masculines out there that are very solid and good people and good hearts and stuff, you probably underestimate yourself, and you might be too humble, and you might be in lack. You don't fit into things, and you don't play the conquest of women sort of thing and stuff like that. You respect women for the goddesses that they are and stuff. I'm just warning you guys to be a bit defensive, because the weak are going to look to hook into the strong, and maybe it's time to be sovereign and individual and be very adaptive to uncertainty and things and stuff, and just be really on guard and defend your lower energies. Get into the salt packs and salt bars and other things that you might have to deal with, the energies and stuff to defend yourself, right? So this will be a bit too long, and we'll probably extend the video too long as it is, but I just wanted to add a few clips to round out this first recording and then get into the second one, and then, like I said, I'll probably expand on it at the end. But yeah, I want to thank you very much for finding me. I want to thank you for your service to the universe and all that you've done and all that you've endured. I hope that this particular release and the next one will really empower you to realize how amazing you are and how impossible it is to be here as you, and out of all the 7.3 billion here having this awareness, there's only a few hundred that will actually listen to me at this time. Who knows what will happen in the future, but I'm imparting this knowledge to help accelerate those that are probably game changers that you don't even know it, all right? So those of you in the future that find me, I thank you as well. Whenever it is for you and this is the right time, I'm plowing ahead with my stuff to get it out there, and to set us up for what is to unfold, because the things unfolding are a confirmation of we've sort of won, right? And so there's possibly going to be a lot of crossing the lines, and stuff needs to be done relative to the Galactic Special Forces recordings that I've said, all right? And of just at the high level galactic sort of politics sort of thing that going on that we're right in the middle of, it's it's not all light of love, right? It's actually pretty harsh and epic and disgusting that most of us can't even face, all right? So those of you that are a bit getting powered up by this and find me and seek me out, I look forward to seeing you and stuff. This is our time. This is what we've all endured, enormous hardship for to be here. We are the best of the best. You are a galactic, crazy, universal diamond for being here. You're probably being polarized by everyone around you and stuff. You are the last Mimsy. You have enormous potential that you haven't tapped into. So it's time to own it, guys. Structure your water and really contemplate what I'm saying here. What do you want to do and make for the rest of your time here in this human mortal experience in the unawareness realm? It's incredible to have made it here. So I thank you, and I look forward to what is to unfold. And next time, guys, Andre out. Lots of love. So everything I've done, like the Galactic Special Forces, all that, it's in the algorithm of my Akashic record and my frequency and my DNA and all that sort of stuff. So it's there. So it's like I'm a codex of codes and stuff. So whatever code the individual needs, they get, sort of thing. Whatever's the right time of their journey and stuff in their consciousness Tetris. And this information, it's funny, it's from my perspective, I'm giving you the answers at the end of the like, say, math book and stuff, and I don't know if schools use books anymore, but they used to give us textbooks with the answers in the end, and you weren't meant to cheat. But because I'm giving you the answers on many things, it probably won't make sense because you don't have the context, because to understand the context, you do have to go through that consciousness Tetris, and I might be overlaying an image of a competition of Tetris, so you get, like, unless you get the right blocks for the lower levels, you're not going to comprehend this sort of stuff, and that's all cool. Trust me, the discovery process is awesome here, alright? It's one of the gifts we have in this unawareness realm, and that. So I love that journey of discovery. It's such a gift to get new realizations, and you get that level clear, and then you see things from a totally different perspective, and I love that shift that you get, especially when you're wrong, alright?
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.